Switcher here! Welcome to the Lewis Switcher Show. Let's have some fun. We are currently jamming the struts. My friend left her record over here, so I'm jamming the shit out of it. Sounds pretty good. Today we're going to take a look at some of the highlights in the Lewis Switcher library. Some of the stuff in my collection, whether it be toys, records, films, collectibles. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff that I love, that I couldn't live without. So stay tuned, everybody. Alright, so I want to begin, as much as you guys have watched me, if you guys have watched previous episodes, you know that I like to shout out my homies. Christine double feature, link down below. One of the best shows out here on YouTube. Incredible stuff, authentic, genuine, amazing people. Make sure you guys give them a sub, give them some views, watch their show. It's amazing stuff. Much love to you guys. And then in this episode, I'm actually going to be entering a contest through Money86, another incredible YouTuber with passion for horror films. And it's one of those guys you can easily identify with, to know that they're the real deal. They're not bullshitting. It's straight to the real deal stuff. Money86. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you guys in my library, in my collection, is we're going to go through a top 3 list for the contest, for Money's contest, that he's giving away a Hammer box set, which is incredibly generous of him. So yeah. Let's get started on that list. All right, I don't know if I could ever actually be numbered with these collectibles or things I'm going to show off today. But there is one thing. I am a huge Halloween fan. As we've discovered on previous episodes of my show, Michael Myers is my favorite character in a horror franchise or in a film series. Particularly, I just love Michael Myers. I love John Carpenter's vision and what he wanted to accomplish and what he did accomplish. The man took a very small budget and made it into one of the most successful horror films of all time. So without further ado, I have this little Michael Myers doll. Spencer Gifts put this out. Old friend of mine, Carrie, gave me this for my birthday a long time ago. And if we take a closer look at this, you're going to see that it's autographed by every single guy that's played Michael Myers in the franchise, except for the original and the man who is reprising his role as the Shape in the Halloween film that is currently shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, Mr. Nick Castle. But we do have Tony Moran, who played him partially in the first film on this leg. We do have Mr. Don Shanks, who played him in Part 5. And we do have Mr. Christopher Duran, who played him in Halloween H2O. We do have Mr. Dick Warlock, who played him in Part 2. And then we have George Wilbur's autograph here that played him in Part 4 and The Curse of Michael Myers. So this is definitely one of the highlights in my collection. I took this around with me to several conventions, including 30 Years of Terror in Pasadena, California, which was a 30-year anniversary celebration of the franchise and the film itself, which leads me to 2019, will actually be the 40th anniversary of the 1978 Halloween film. And crossing my fingers that we're going to have a 40 Years of Terror convention out in Pasadena. And if we are Halloween fans, make sure you guys get your asses out there. It's going to be a celebration like no other. It hasn't been officially announced, but when it is, I will definitely be in attendance. I'm not going to miss it. But yes, my little Shape doll. And it still plays the Halloween score, and signed by everybody who played the Shape. And I will be getting Nick Castle to sign this bad boy in the future, but this is definitely one of my highlights. Mwah. So, as much as time as I spent as collecting films and collectibles and toys and stuff like that, I've always been really attracted to movie posters and theatrical art and teaser posters and stuff that you would walk past the movie theater and they'd have posters out on the theater walls and underneath the marquees and stuff like that. So film art is very important to me. So Ernest P. Worrell, Jim Varney, rest in peace, guy. But I loved the Ernest films growing up. Loved them so much. They were a big part of my childhood. And I think with any of us, if we grow up with something that is important to us, I think there's nothing wrong with it letting it still be important to you later in life. And so this Ernest Goes to Camp poster I'm a terrible cameraman, by the way. Just terrible. But yeah, this Ernest Goes to Camp poster. Hopefully that got a good look at it. But that is definitely one of my favorites in my collection, and something that I've had since I was probably, I don't know, maybe 12, 13. But it's a beauty. It's a 27 by 40, original theatrical art. I believe it might have actually been shipped to video stores and promotion of its release. But what do you guys think about Ernest? You know what I mean? Are you guys fans? In the comment section below, go ahead and tell me your favorite Ernest film. Ernest Goes to Camp is definitely my number one as far as, you know, my favorites. And as far as all-around film goes, it's just so much fun. The golf cart, just driving around ghostly around the camp is something that I love so much. And it's stuff like that, like the really, really simple stuff in Ernest films that can make me laugh and make me feel good. But yeah, my Ernest Goes to Camp poster, definitely making that list. We're going to continue on with this list. It's going to be a top 3 list of the top 3 things in my collection that I love and adore so much. So we're continuing on. All right, so I know amongst us horror collectors and film collectors, Shout Factory and Scream Factory, this is going to be my number 1 collectible. And it's probably going to come to no surprise to you. But this Halloween box set that was put out by Scream and Shout is just so beautiful. I have the VHS releases and a partial DVD collection of the Halloween films. But this set is like no other. It's completely loaded with passion and love from the people who distributed this package and did the artwork and did the special features. I believe Red Shirt Productions and Mr. Sean Clark were pretty responsible for a lot of this stuff getting to our shelves and our collections. But as I've said before in previous episodes, I'm not too big of a fan of Rob Zombie's 2 entries into the franchise. But as far as 1978 through Resurrection, some incredible stuff that is very rewatchable. At least for me, I love the sequels. I know the Halloween films get kind of a lot of hate because, you know, the storyline kind of went in a million different directions. And I think a lot of the writers and people who were hired to be a part of this franchise, you know, there are a lot of people in charge. So I think the more people that you have in charge of these projects and the more money that goes around, the more problems it creates. I'm a philosopher, and I have made films before, and I do know that money can create some greatness, and it can actually destroy a lot of things. And I think as far as this being definitely something in my collection I'd never get rid of. I see them go on eBay and Facebook groups and stuff like that for very large amounts of money, you know, $100+ and stuff like that. But somebody have to offer me quite a pretty penny to let that go, because. But yeah, that's going to conclude my Team Money86 contest. Turi, man, thank you so much for being so generous to your subscribers and your supporters and the people who check your show out. For you to give that Hammer box set away is, dude, so nice, so generous. It kind of blows my mind that you're that generous of a guy, and I appreciate it. So that's my entry. I got my Halloween box set, my Ernest Goes to Camp original 27 by 40 theatrical art poster, and of course my Michael Myers doll over there, signed by almost every actor who's ever portrayed the Shape. But now we're going to go on to some brief DVD and Blu-ray review stuff I've been watching lately, just to kind of fill you in on, you know, what Switcher's been watching. So stay tuned. Honorable mention in my collection that I definitely don't want to leave out is this little cool Michael figure. He's wearing the sheet, got Bob's glasses on him. Who can forget that incredible scene from the film? But I always thought this figure was pretty cool. And if I take the sheet off him, it's just going to look like one of these guys. So yeah, it's going to look like one of those bad boys. Same shit. But yeah, definitely didn't want to leave that one out. A lot of music breaks today. Sorry, folks. I wrote it with the golf pencil I pulled out of my blazer. A crest sewn on the chest, red old gold rugby football club. Worn out one time by a man. One time went to Yale, then he worked a while on Wall Street till the market collapsed. Ska music is good for the soul. Alright guys, so just a couple little brief movie reviews of stuff that I've been watching lately. My health has kind of taken a turn, for the better, for the worse, I don't know. But I've been struggling lately, so had a lot of time to actually sit down and watch some features. Some of these that I've seen before, some of them I haven't. We're going to be brief, straight to the point, no BS. First flick up, I've seen this film several times, probably 10 or more. Liam Neeson, Meryl Streep, Edward Furlong, a film called Before and After. Two words I can describe to use about this film is powerful, and the other word would be riveting. And it's funny that those words are on the back of this, but I couldn't think of two other words in the English language to describe this film. As far as the performances go, Liam Neeson is one of those guys who is a master at his craft. Meryl Streep's probably won about 1,000 Academy Awards before. Edward Furlong is a tremendous underlooked talent who had some bad breaks, but still works and is still a fantastic talent. But I don't want to spoil too much about this, but it's a very realistic life drama, and the performances and the acting is what sets it above, you know. And it's just I don't know, something about it. It's so enjoyable to watch over and over. The story feels very real. Takes place in the wintertime. I believe somewhere in Massachusetts or somewhere in New England, but shot beautifully. Howard Shore composed a beautiful score for this flick. But yeah, the performances are top-notch. Liam Neeson and Edward Furlong steal the show, in my opinion. So if you guys see Before and After out in the wild or at a video shop somewhere, don't hesitate to pick it up, give it a watch. Amazing stuff, Before and After. Moving on. There's a film with an all-star, like a horror icon cast, you know, with Kane Hodder, Don Shanks, R.A. Millihoff, and Bill Moseley. I mean, these guys are veterans, and you know, some of the guys that you've seen in hundreds of films. Bill Moseley is a guy that you know, should be given a Lifetime Horror Achievement Award because of how many horror flicks this guy's appeared in. But when I saw Don Shanks and Kane Hodder in this film called Smothered, I picked this up at my local family video. I had to pick it up and I had to give it a watch. Want to be brutal and blunt and honest with my review about it. I thought the cast was great to see them all together on the screen, but as far as story and execution and hitting its marks for entertainment purposes, it didn't do it for me. I only paid, I think, $4 or $5 for this. Glad to own it. I think it actually goes for kind of quite a bit of money. I'm not sure. I think it's out of print already. But Smothered, like I said, great cast. Love Kane Hodder. And real quick, wanted to plug Kane Hodder's book, Unmasked. It's been out for several years, but Kane Hodder's a guy whose story is very remarkable, inspiring. I mean, this guy's literally been to hell and back. If you guys don't know who Kane Hodder is, sorry, I can't help you. You're going to have to figure that out. But he's an icon in the horror industry, and been a stunt coordinator, and it's amazing the peaks and valleys that guy has been through, but loved it so much. So pick up Kane Hodder's book. Last but not least, up on the review list today is a film that I got from a great buddy whose contest I'm entering, and that is Team Money86, Turi Delamore. You're a stand-up dude, love you so much. And you sent me Silver Bullet on Blu-ray from Umbrella Entertainment, which is an Australian distributor, and I did have a chance to watch this. There's no way that I wasn't going to watch this. Silver Bullet is definitely in my top 10 favorite films of all time. Gary Busey, Corey Haim, Everett McGill, Terry O'Quinn shows up in this flick. But the special features have not dipped into yet. There's an audio commentary track on here. But Silver Bullet, great Stephen King story that was adapted to the screen. So if you guys haven't seen Silver Bullet, it's got a DVD release and a recent Blu-ray release. I have the VHS tape, I have the DVD, and now I have the Blu-ray. So T-Money, thank you so much. Silver Bullet is my favorite werewolf film outside of The Howling and the original Wolfman. But Silver Bullet's quality is so high, and you know, I think it stands the test of time. And I mean, they did a great job with restoration on this. This is actually my first Umbrella release that I have in my collection. So Turi, man, thank you so much. Seriously, man, you have no much how much I appreciate this. And this is soon probably going to be one of those holy grails and real gems and highlights of my library. So thank you again, buddy. Keeping the show moving. I've been in a gangster film mood lately. One of my good friends was watching the Godfather series, and so that inspired me to kind of take a look into my collection and see what kind of gangster films that I had that I maybe want to watch or revisit or along those lines. So yeah, Goodfellas, right? Classic. Just got a 4K release not too long ago, so when I do upgrade to 4K someday, Goodfellas is definitely going to be one of those that I would love to see in 4K. But Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese flick. No need to even review it because I'm pretty sure everybody that's seen it knows that it's a masterpiece, a real piece of art. Martin Scorsese takes a film as a canvas and fills it up beautifully and paints the picture to to perfection. And Bob De Niro, Ray Liotta, Paul Sorvino, Joe Pesci, Lorraine Bracco, a New York cast and a real life story. I mean, a lot of stuff happened to these guys, and it's just something that's authentic and organic, and one of the greatest gangster films ever made, no doubt. Moving along, to me, my favorite gangster film of all time is not Goodfellas, is not The Godfather 1 or 2, because Godfather 3 sucks shit. But greatest gangster film to me because of its way to connect with me and to pull me into the story. And it came from a Broadway play. Chaz Palminteri wrote the story, and that film is called A Bronx Tale. I believe this does have an overseas Blu-ray release, which is on my wish list. So one day I will upgrade to Blu-ray. But this snapback original HBO release is good enough for me. Bob De Niro's directional debut was A Bronx Tale. Chaz Palminteri, like I said, premiered this on Broadway, I believe back in the, was it late 80s or early 90s? This film was released in 93. But A Bronx Tale, if you've been in New York, if you know people from New York or have family in New York, especially in the Bronx or Brooklyn or Queens or one of the boroughs, you can definitely relate to this story. And, it depends on, I guess, when you grew up. But to me, greatest gangster film ever made is The Bronx Tale. And I want to take a second to thank everybody who was watching the Lewis Switcher Show. Thank you to all my recent subscribers. And if you guys are watching, first time show, for you guys, hit that subscribe button. Let's get a lot of people to smash that thumbs up button this episode. I think I got 8 or 9 on the last episode, and I've had in the 20s before. So let's see if we can get this show up to 20 to 25 thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Comment below. I appreciate everybody's support like you wouldn't believe. It's not just words. It's a feeling. It's a meaning. I appreciate it. T-Money, I appreciate you having this contest. So, yeah, this is part of my entry. I showed you some of the highlights in the Lewis Switcher library. And I reviewed some films for you. So just a quick and little brief episode today. But we're going to be coming back later this week with some more content for you guys. Much love to everybody. See you guys. By trade, a harder worker you won't find. He was like 50 when I met him, maybe 15 years ago. A Scottish American and the master with the trowel. He swears that he's the urban legend. Hear about every job inside.